And so I've got some thoughts on this. First of all, I think what's noticeable to me is that the core function that we provide to some extent is similar in that the focus of this talks about legal opinions are provided as part of the association work. And we call it the inquiry service, but that really is still the focus of what the attorneys do, I think, is to provide specific legal analysis and opinions to local government officials. There's been a lot of changes that I'll kind of mention a couple in a minute, but well, before I get to that, one thing that has changed up above, I was noticing in this information that you gave me, they were talking about the numbers that they were dealing with. In 1958, it says 523 inquiries were processed. In 1959, 647. This year, 844. Well, since that time, we've had, we do over 7,000 a year. Now, that's all our inquiries, but I bet 80% of them are legal, or 75%. So it's almost 10 times the amount of inquiry work that was going on back then. But the concept of answering specific legal questions is very similar, I think, to what we did back in 1960. Now, some differences in how we provide that, I mean, for me, it's so dramatically different. And at that time, it was all on paper. And when I had an inquiry, we had little note cards that we had a one-sentence description of what the subject was, and they were kept in a file cabinet, and you would look on these note cards to find a reference, and then they would have paper copies filed in our files out there, and you would go search the files to try to find those paper copies of the inquiries. Of course, that's all gone now. And then the older ones were on microfiche. They were kept on microfiche, and we had a reader, which I guess we still have those, but we almost never use those for the old inquiries. So, we didn't have computers, we didn't have a database. It was this very primitive, what you'd say now, kind of system of doing the research. But conceptually, again, what was going on is similar, I think, in some ways, in most ways, to what we're doing now, which is answering these specific legal inquiries that come in. And then, again, looking at the description you read, Eric, about the further service is the mailing of AGOs in state Supreme Court. See, that's all online now. So, of course, we don't mail out anything really along those lines. They're in the database, either at the Attorney General's website or our website. Now, we we summarize court cases and post those on our website. So, to some extent, we are providing a similar service there in a different way by getting those Supreme Court decisions and local court decisions summarized and posted. And let's see, and then Dr. Campbell served as Secretary-Treasurer of the Washington State Association of Municipal Attorneys. Well, I do that now, and so very similar service really there. We help them with their conferences to arrange speakers and a program, so that's actually not too different. And drafting bills is a very small part of what we do. We do some review of legislation as requested by AWC, and what the impact's going to be on local government. So it's in there, but it's a small part really of what we do. So, I guess to some extent, to summarize, I think a lot of the services are similar, but they're just provided in a very different manner, and our method of researching and obtaining information has just totally changed.